Now then, I want to do a video, and this is one that I've said I'll do for quite a while, and yeah, there's no better time to make it considering the fact that anyone who watches my stuff normally will know I do tons and tons to do with Asphalt 9 Legends, and that game is currently on its worst patch ever performance-wise. It is awful right now, and it's just a bug that's in game, but yeah, it makes the game rather unplayable. So I said I'd shine a light onto one of my other absolute favorite games on the Switch. This one is also a free-to-play game on the Switch, the same as Asphalt 9 Legends is, and like this one has a way better free-to-play model in my opinion than Asphalt. And yeah, it really is a pretty awesome game. So what I said I'd do is just kind of make a couple of videos on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just a basic overview of the game itself and the type of game it is, just some of the modes and stuff in there, and I kind of look at the mechanics that it uses in terms of the free to play. So I'll give a few timestamps down below here for, like I said, the game mechanics overall, and then some of the character standout things. So if you check down along the timeline of this one, you'll see little stampers to various chapters and stuff. And yeah, as always guys, with my stuff, I'll say if you find these videos useful or interesting, please do give a like, leave a comment down below, or click that sub button if you want to see more of my stuff, which is, yeah, I'm going to do some bits and pieces on Paladins, at least on some of the champions and stuff over the next couple of weeks. It's my intention to drop in some of these on top of my Asphalt videos, streams, and yeah, some of the indie stuff that I do on my channel as well. But yeah, first off here, what is Paladins? So it's a first-person shooter, team-based first-person shooter. So there's no one-on-one stuff here. There's no campaign. This is all online, and the way that these games are often described as is hero shooters. Say like the difference between something like a Call of Duty or a Halo is it doesn't matter in those games what character you pick, because you will go into a game and you just rush forward and find a gun, you pick up that gun, and then you are using that gun. So like in Halo, you can be the Master Chief, you can pick up a pistol or a sniper rifle, and you will be using a pistol or a sniper rifle. Or you can be like the Arbiter and have the same two weapons, and they'll play more or less exactly the same. In hero-based first-person shooters, your characters completely determine what role you're doing in the game, and you can't change out of that very much outside of one or two little variations that you can do to the characters outside. So it's very much a case of normally people have a main that they like to play in these games because the characters here do completely different roles from each other. So it's not a case of every character can pick up a sniper rifle and snipe, or every character can heal, for example. So you have your characters falling into a bunch of different categories, from the damage dealing champions, the flanking type champions, tank based champions, and healers. So just a quick rundown on what those roles mean. So like tanks are frontline in this game. Yeah, they are things that can take an absolute battering from the other team. They have tons more health, and yeah, they generally tend to be quite large and intimidating roles. Now, the tanks even vary wildly in the way they set up, from the big clunking type things that you might expect to see. So like Can, for example, is a good example of a classic what you might expect from what your tanky will look like. As in, he's huge, he's got a relatively small pistol, but he can generate this massive shield from his arm that covers over the area. So like he's very intimidating on the point. Then you also have tanks which work out in kind of different ways. Say for example Barak, then he is less intimidating himself. He's quite a small dwarf character, but the thing with him is, like, while he himself is not that intimidating, he puts down turrets. And with Barak, he puts down turrets all around an area, and once you have like two of those set up, you can have it so that the turrets fuel health into Barak and he can fuel health back to those. So like where he himself isn't much of a threat, if you allow him set up in an area, he can make an objective point very difficult to actually get in and try and remove him off there. So even like within the tanking field, you've got, yeah, your like complicated things like Barak, who sets up his defenses in an area that have to be taken out, or you just have somebody like Han who has the shield and a pistol, and yeah, very traditionally like quite an easy to work out type tank. You do often have characters inside in the class that work quite differently from the other things. So Rom is an example of that. where Rom's way of getting health from other players is using a minigun to chip souls off of players. And he then collects the souls to regenerate health, and he can stun players for a crazy amount of time. So his way of tanking is to effectively beat health out of other players and to stop them from being able to properly focus on doing anything. So when you get to the point as Rom, for example, he has a move where he can charge forward. He'll blast players out of the way, which stops them from being able to make moves for a bit. Rom's ultimate ability is a giant stomp. When he executes it, everyone around gets dropped to the floor, and it is quite cool, but it's very disruptive. So again, it's like what you do with him is you charge in there, you try and make sure you don't take too much damage. At the point where you have taken a bit of damage, he can pick up all the souls that are resting around on the ground. It'll regenerate some of his health. He'll get some damage again, and then you do your little run around thing, try and stun players from finishing him off, shoot them up some more, get extra health back. So he is like an incredibly aggressive tank rather than just a stand there and shield type. Taking a look then at some of the traditional damage champions, or the DPS champions, and yeah, say like a Victor here, he's got a heavy machine gun, he chucks grenades, and he's got a run which can regenerate some health while he's doing it. He is very much the character for most players to probably start off playing this game. Alternatively to Victor, Cassie's another one that I'm pretty sure is unlocked by default. So she is another one that's like, she has a move where she shoots with her crossbow. She has a crossbow shot that knocks enemies back, and she has a crossbow shot that does a little AoE damage around her. So they're very, very kind of basic champions, just in terms of, if you've ever played an FPS game before, you'd probably be able to like play okay-ish with those. The same with Kinyesa and Strix on the second row. Like, those are two sniper champions, and yeah, again, if you've ever played a first-person shooter and used a sniper, those characters would feel instantly very, very familiar to you. Side note for anyone who's played Overwatch, by the way, but if you've ever played Pharah in Overwatch, Dragos is Pharah. he doesn't quite have justice that reigns from above, but if you know that game and that character, yeah, Dragos is pretty much close to her. Flies slightly less, depending on the spec, but yeah, works out more or less the same. You do then, though, in the damage category still have some very, very different champions to your regular type that you would find in first-person shooters. So Willow, for example, is, yeah, a flying type fairy, and she is just bizarre. She has seeds that she can throw onto an objective area that explode, and then they can also be spec'd to explode a second time and explode into little small things which put out, yeah, extra damage on the team. And she's got various specs where those can be made that if you get hit by them, they reset the cooldown for Willow to do them again. So she is really good in places where you have the enemy kind of grouped up in a place where they can't really get like too far away from them, because even if they get a tiny bit of damage from her annoying seeds, it'll reset her cooldown. Every time they reset, she can just throw more of those onto the objective. One of the things about her, though, is she is incredibly, incredibly frail. It doesn't take a whole lot to kill a Willow if you target it and hit it just a couple of times. Now, one of the other very different DPS champions, Imani here. Really, really awesome in games. She's got like mage powers, so she's both fire and frost on two sides of things. And the way she works is by, yeah, basically casting some of her fire spells will cause the ice spells to cool down. And when she changes over with one of her moves from fire to frost, all of the other spells are cooled down. So you have to, like, with her, if you want to get the most out of her, you have to be changing between the two sides all the time. Like, the frost spells have abilities to basically, yeah, freeze things in place, slow them down. And the fire spells have incredibly, incredibly high burst damage into an area. So it is just a case of, if you stay in one spec with her all the time, you can do okay, but changing back and forth between them and watching the cooldowns on both sides of her spec, she could really, really do some devastating damage. In terms of ultimates that are different, by the way, yeah, say Victor's ultimate, he rains down some shots from above in like a little barrage of fire things. Imani's ultimate, she summons in and kind of takes control of a dragon, which you then fly around the map and gets a full different set of controls. but you can use that dragon to burn the entire team. She is gigantic, and it's like often hard to get it into areas. One of the things is Amani stays on the map when she does it, so you have to put yourself somewhere safe effectively, because otherwise when you do an ultimate in this game, your character makes a really loud shout to let the other team know that, you know, oh, there's a dragon coming. When Amani does it, if players are listening and they figure out where she's coming from, yeah, they can go and find you and just murder you straight away. One of the things you can also do to troll with Amani is you can cast her ultimate, and when you summon out the dragon, it appears near you. So you can kind of wait around where your character is, and if somebody comes to try and kill you, you can use the dragon to incinerate them. So you can kind of lure people in with that move. So it's quite cool. Now, you have the other type of damage dealing characters in the game, and these are what's called flanks. Flanks work slightly differently to the regular damage in the fact that they have a lot less health, and they generally tend to get hurt really badly if they get focused on. So, like, they have got a lot of movement tricks and ways to try to avoid damage. And in a lot of places they can escape. For example, Buck has a large leap where he can jump quite a good distance, and he can also heal himself. But say they also work kind of slightly differently in terms of how they deal damage to the enemy team. Say Maeve here, for example, like, she throws daggers as her primary weapon, and they do quite a lot of actual numbered damage. But she does have a fantastic talent here in the center, Street Justice, which is the fact that her pounce executes targets at or below 35% health. So the crazy thing about that is it doesn't matter like what kind of amount of health as a number it has. If it's below 35%, she sees like a skull and crossbones icon on the person. Pressing pounce will just immediately kill them. And pounce has very little in the lines of actual cooldown. Say it's listed as 10 seconds there. With 9 lives as a talent, she can reset the cooldown of pounce. So you can kill a person who's at 35% health. You can immediately use 9 lives, kill them again. You can get other cards and stuff as well, which reduce that down even lower. So she's devastating in terms of just like finishing off a lot of weakened players. But it's not down to casting damage, which costs numbers. It's more a case of if they're below 1/3 health, she kills them. The same sort of thing here as Skye. She's got, like, again, really low health, but she has the ability to go in stealth for a bit. And she also poisons enemies. So, say her poison bolts attack fire 3 bolts that deal 10% of the target's health as damage. So again, she's not dealing a numbered damage, but she's dealing a percentage of damage. She also has a talent Debilitate there, which increases the damage done by poison bolts by 25% and the rate at which they deal damage by 100%. So yeah, she becomes incredibly dangerous, and especially against things like tanks who would have like maybe 6,000 health over her 2,000. Those poison bolts will go into somebody and yeah, they deal 10% of that target's health. Like, yeah, on larger targets, that thing is really dangerous because of the fact that, like, yeah, it doesn't matter the actual number that they have, it's just as a percentage. After 10 times doing that, any character will be dead. And then in terms of, like, fun, weird things from this category, say you have the likes of Moji, who is, yeah, quite a weird one. He has moves to completely negate damage, and when doing that, the damage goes into a thing called Spite that only Moji can see, and the more of that you end up getting from shooting at Moji, the more devastating the damage is when the shield part wears down. So you really cannot hit Moji. Like, you will want to always shoot at Moji, but if they have their shield up in front of them, if you hit them, you take so much damage for your team after the shield goes down, because Moji can do a spray of acid onto the person that not only hurts the one that shot Moji, but also it does an area of effect attack, so like it will spray tons of damage around the entire team. So it's a very weird one. Again though, Moji without the shield becomes quite weak, but they have, of course, a move that will do something which is not based on damage. So yeah, Moji's kind of kill move based on thing is Bon Appetit. Transforms the victim into a delicious, helpless treat that you can eat, killing them instantly. Yeah, they turn you into a biscuit, and you can hop away as the biscuit, but you really are slow, and if she gets near you, Yeah, the pets will just eat the biscuit, which is quite strange because a couple of characters in this game have resurrection type abilities, and they do not work if you get eaten. They completely get negated by that thing. So yeah, like Moji's, it's a weird one because you can be already with your tank at like full health, and then yeah, your tank is a biscuit and Moji eats it. So it's definitely like, it's really cool with these flank characters. They do have quite a lot of really interesting moves, and especially the ones that like do a percentage or just remove somebody from the game. They are pretty awesome. Now, the final class in this, and possibly some of my absolute favorite champions in the game, and these are the support characters, are often called healers. And these play a very, very different role in the game, and that is obviously, for the most part, trying to keep your team alive as much as possible. You have healers which generate absolutely insane amounts of healing. Say, Ceres is probably would be my main in this game, and she can just channel out absolutely tons of heals from her main ability. With these characters, they effectively have a couple of aggressive moves, but they're generally all focused on trying to keep themselves alive and keep the team alive with various tricks and stuff. So Ceres, for example, she's got a very, very good targeted direct heal on somebody, and it also heals those around the target of that. So she can be quite a distance away from a team fight and still be healing everyone in there for quite an amount of health. Opposite to that here, something like Grover, he emanates heals from his own body all the time. He's constantly outputting this area of effect heal spell from him, and when things start to get rough, he can cause flowers to shoot up, which generates even more healing around him for a small time, and his ultimate ability just does crazy area of effect healing. So he needs to be in the fight to do all of those things, but yeah, he does a lot of healing to people around him just passively, so he doesn't even need to cast heals to be a healer. On the kind of a bizarre end of the healing scale, then you have, say, the likes of Maldamba, who's got a poisonous gourd attack, but it can also be changed so that the gourd itself will heal. So when you throw a gourd on the ground, it bursts into an area. Anyone who stands into that area will get healed. His snake also spits an acid poison thing, but that poison, if it hits an ally, will actually heal them. So he's quite complicated, and his actual targeting is very, very precise. So like, Maldama is definitely one of those ones that it takes quite a lot to figure out, but he is quite fun in the fact that like he can do quite a lot of annoying damage. The snake is incredibly annoying. Anytime he's reloading that, he actually reloads it by throwing the snake out in front of him. If the snake hits somebody, it stuns them to the ground for absolutely what feels like an eternity. And Maldamba's ultimate does not heal. He throws a special gourd onto the ground which explodes, a giant snake effigy appears, and everybody on the enemy team will run away in fear of it. It's like just this gigantic area of effect fear move. It's quite cool, but again, like, he is less just dedicated healer and more kind of annoying character, because yeah, like, he stops people from on your team from taking damage by the fact that you can stun people with the snake when you throw it. You can poison people quite a bit so that it becomes annoying to be in an area where he is. And also then, yeah, he's got that giant fear effect. So if the enemy team is all grouping together in a single area and targeting your team, he can whoosh down his snake thing and just, yeah, everyone will be running all over the place and your team can cut them to ribbons. The same could be definitely true for the likes of Genos. Genos' main thing that like stops teams from grouping together is fantastic. His ultimate ability, he fires a pulse of light through a stage, and it goes through everything on the stage. And when it goes through everything, I mean, it can go through the entire enemy team. If they're standing together, it's just a tunnel of death that he shoots out. Hits for about 3,000. It'll kill effectively any character that's not a tank will just die in one hit to it. Yeah, I've seen it kill an entire enemy team before. So like, it is a devastatingly strong ultimate, especially for like a healer to have a move which can wipe out an entire team. It's fantastic. Now, I did mention talents as well on certain characters, and I mentioned the fact that most of the time healers heal and most of the time damage dealers do damage, because there is ways you can warp things, but that's something that I'll save for a video after this point, because you can warp some of the characters quite a lot. Say just one example is Grok here. his main healing ability is the staff, which puts out a healing beam, but you can spec him in such a way that his staff does just lightning damage to the enemies, and it also cools down one of his damaging moves. And you can make it so that damaging move does even more damage if you spec his character away from being a healer. So you can go into a game sometimes as Grok, who is a healer, but yeah, use him as a damage dealing champion, so he can like do a tremendous amount of damage from that if you spec that way. And it can obviously take a team by surprise if you have what should be a healer is absolutely electrocuting all of your team. It can be a very, very cool little kind of ace in the hole to have. An alternative to that is something like Skye. Skye is a fantastic damage dealing flank champion, but she can be changed in a way that actually turns her into a healer. One of her primary moves, where she throws a smoke cloud on the ground, that can be specced into a way that that smoke cloud becomes a healing circle. And yeah, like again, she is one of those champions that sometimes an enemy team might not pay too much attention to your flank if they're not doing a lot of damage to them, and they definitely won't consider the fact that the Skye is the one that's healing your team. So you can have scenarios where you'll get ignored as a Skye if the enemy team think, oh, she's not attacking us too much, we can just ignore her, we should really take out that team's healer. And then them looking around and going like, there isn't a healer, what's going on? The way this game works is you put yourself in here into a queue for one of these 3 game types. It's actually technically 4 because Onslaught includes King of the Hill. But yeah, you have your 3 game types here, and yeah, you can click join queue. It'll put you in a queue for all of them. The way Onslaught works is you get a map, and there is an area of the map which needs to be held. While one of your team is standing in there with none of the enemy team, you'll get a certain amount of points every couple of seconds. And also every time your team kills one of the enemy team, they'll get 3 points. And it's to climb up to 400 points in total. So often what you'll have is one character, usually like a tank or a healer, will stay on the objective and just kind of keep an eye on that. And your team will be trying to stop the enemies from even getting to the Onslaught, the main objective point, if it's working well together for you. Obviously with these games, I'm usually shouting it all the time, but it's very important in these games to say group up to your team. And if you're playing this, to group up with your team, because while you can be a really good DPS character, if you're near a healer, you'll play a whole lot better because you'll stay alive for longer to DPS. And the same goes the other way as well. If you're playing a healer, you want to be near your team because you want to keep them alive and you don't have that damage dealing abilities that your other people do. So in this game, it's quite important to most of the time stay near your team. The flanks are kind of the one exception-ish to that. So then you have team deathmatch though, and that's just basically you go into a game, it's 5-on-5, and yeah, it's a case of first team to get 40 kills on the other team wins. And like, team deathmatch is one where a lot of the time you'll see people just picking DPS characters, but at the same time, it's like I've played with Ceres and healed in a team deathmatch for an amount that's equivalent to about the lives of about maybe 20 or so players. So yeah, while you can just play those as only damage characters, yeah, if you pick a healer and you effectively negate 20 deaths worth of healing, you can definitely play your part in winning a team deathmatch game with any of the types of champions. And the last game mode, and probably the most important one to figure out in this game, is Siege. And the reason I say that is because the ranked mode in this game, which becomes unlocked after you have a certain number of champions, it's all done in Siege games. So with Siege, you have the Onslaught type area, so you have to go into the middle first and win a fight to take it over an area. You capture that up to 100%, and once you capture it to 100%, that area will spawn something like a carriage, a machine, or something that you then need to bring towards the enemy's side of the map. And you have to fight your way and push the enemies back. Now what that means is obviously the further the game, that machine or whatever rolls towards the enemy's side, when they get killed, they'll be respawning and coming back to you sooner. And if you get killed, you've got to run all the way from your spawn area to the siege machine. So if you've ever played Overwatch, this is quite similar to quite a lot of these modes. The only thing is, I genuinely think the way that the Siege one works is far better than Overwatch's style, because in Overwatch it's a case of you take turns. So in Overwatch you've got round 1 where a team will go to their machine, try and start it up, and then get it to roll. And then round 2 is the enemy team will do the same thing of get the machine and move it, and you have defense and attack turns. In Paladins, it's just a case of there is only one type of thing. So you both teams go together to try to take over that machine and then roll it whichever direction based on the team that takes it over. With Siege games, the objective is to get 4 points. You get 1 point for capturing the machine to begin with, and another point if you roll it all the way to the enemy team's base. Now, you also get a point in a Siege game if you stop somebody from pushing it. The only difference to that is the fact that you do not get a point for stopping somebody on the final point of the game. So you can't win the game on a defense. So if you have like won a point by capturing, won a point by putting it to the end, and then win the other point by capturing it. Say then if the enemy team stop you from pushing it, they will get a point and it will be 3-1. If the enemy team then captures on the next game, it'll go to 3-2, still to you. But if you stop them from pushing it all the way to the finish, it won't give you the game. It'll stay 3-2. You won't get a point for that. And again, if it then goes to the next game and the enemies come in, capture it, but fail to push it, they'll get a point for capturing it, and they won't get anything for pushing it if you stop them, but you won't get anything again, and it'll go to 3-3, and then it'll be just decided on who captures the last time. So Siege is pretty good in the fact that you can't just bunker in, and you can never win on a defense. It's a bit on the strange side, I guess, but once you play a couple of these games, you will pretty much get the feel of exactly kind of what's going on inside them. Also, if you see your team chat down the bottom left hand side, watch out for people shouting things like attack the objective or group up, and do pay attention to it, especially if you're new to the game. It can seem a bit spammy at times, and you can get a feeling that like, oh, people are being aggressive, they're telling me to group up. It's probably just want you to group up, so don't take offense to it. Just maybe go and see if you can group up. Obviously, there's some players who do just spam commands all the time, like they're just saying like attack left, attack right, jump in the air. It's like, yeah, you can ignore those, but yeah, otherwise just try and listen to your team a small bit. It is a team-based shooter after all. So now that I've said about the game modes, I'll mention some of the actual champions with this game, and they are the awesome part about it, really. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about though is this game's free-to-play method, and say Asphalt's the one that a lot of people from my channel would know what free-to-play means to that game, and that is, if you're a free-to-play player, you get to do kind of the bare minimum. You get access to cars, but you'll never get to like have them start up to the absolute max without spending like an awful lot of time and planning, and often spending money. This game's free-to-play mechanics are the fact that the game is free to play. Realistically, there's really no comparison between how this Paladins is free to play and how Asphalt is free to play. Like, if you go into the champions here, for example, like there is 2 which I do not have unlocked: Sati, the trick shot, and Vatu, the person who was added in the last patch. Now, I didn't buy those just yet because I haven't had a use for doing it. And the thing is, like, when it comes to, say, the likes of Asphalt, to get access to something, you probably need to pay some cash up front, or you would need to, yeah, like, unlock it, but, you know, it would be at a really weakened state in comparison to players who've played the game along, in comparison to players who are basically paying some money out for it. But that is not the way this works. Say, if you have access to Ceres, it doesn't matter if you spend any amount of money on them. Every single character's Ceres will be exactly the same. The only difference is down to the spec and talents that you use for it, all of which don't cost any money. Talents, the 3rd talent is unlocked at level 8 with a character. It takes about 3 or 4 games to do that if you're playing them sort of well enough. A slightly longer otherwise, but realistically, you'll get all the talents for a character really, really quickly, just through gameplay. There's no spending money. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you spend all the money in the world on a character in this. All you can get for them is like cool outfits, and yeah, that's it. It's just the outfits and stuff. It's just cosmetic. None of the actual like character powers or abilities are tied to real world money, and you cannot buy yourself any advantages in this game. Say I mentioned I hadn't bought this character, Sati, and the other one down here, Vatu. These champions come into this game pretty much once every season, so about one every 2 months you get a new character. They always play quite crazily different because, like, yeah, I showed the differences between the characters. Like, the cool thing is with this, as you can see there, unlock Vatu, 300 crystals or 60,000 of the gold. And yeah, you can see my currencies there. Now, I play this game for quite a lot, but crystals are the premium currency. They're the stuff that costs money, and it's fairly expensive. It's used for various cosmetic skins and for season passes and stuff like that. Yeah, you can actually buy the legend pass in this game for currency that's premium, but you can get it in game. But you can also use gold, and Vatu, for example, costs 60,000. I have 1.7 million. So yeah, let's just pick up a new character in this by using gold, and boom, Vatu unlocked. Also probably, yeah, you get his default weapon for him. So yeah, that's how you unlock champions in this. The same with Sati, say, I think she's a 60,000 as well. Yeah, 60k. Some of the champions are 15,000 gold, some of them are 30k, and other ones then, like the newest champions, are normally 60,000 to add to your collection. But yeah, that's the two of the newest champions added in the last 4 months added to my game, and now I'm at 1.64 million. So yeah, I'll be able to buy the next like 50 or so champions which come out for this game, providing I, played 0 games between now and that time. But yeah, now these characters are unlocked for me. So there's Sati unlocked. That will be exactly the same Sati that is unlocked with crystals, or unlocked with money, or unlocked by buying packs. Because you can also buy like starter packs for this game, which give you a selection of champions. And what you do have though in this is, like, there's character packs that you can buy. So you've got a starter edition where you have a bunch of different champs that you can just buy straight up, and it'll give you like a selection between Koga, that's a flank, Tyra is a DPS, Grover and Pip, who are healers, and yeah, Barak and Fernando, who are tanks. You do get a selection of characters to start off playing this game, but you can buy these packs and fill out your roster if you want to hurry that along. The one thing I'd honestly suggest is the fact that because the characters in this game are so varied and so different, I would strongly recommend not buying an awful lot of champions to begin with. Because realistically, you're going to start off playing this game, and it comes with about, I think is it somewhere between 5 and 6 champions unlocked by default. So you get yourself a fairly decent selection across the board. But you also notice on the character selection screen, these circle icons that are on a few players. So Khan has one up here at the top, Makoa has one, Strix, Dragos, Buck, and let me see, Io has another here. Yeah, so the thing with that icon is they are available as a free rotation. Every Thursday, the characters who are on free rotation shuffle around, and you get to play as a bunch of different ones even without unlocking them. So yeah, like, I would strongly recommend just like get the game at first, just download it, it's completely free, get into it, check out the free characters who are available, and then take a look around at some of the other things. Like when you're in games, one of the things I always recommend with a game like this is if you're in game and you're getting your ass kicked by a champion constantly, pick the champion if you have it, see how it actually works, because quite a lot of the time you'll find that, oh, they've got a really bad weakness and they can't do this or they can't do that, and you will figure that out if you select them, and then you can, yeah, basically just be like, oh right, that's how this character gets defeated, because yeah, they suck at doing this sort of thing. So like for me, for example, Moji was the one of doing that, because like at first I did not realize the fact that that thing he does where he puts a shield in front of him, yeah, if you don't know the game that well, you might have a tendency to think, oh, he's got a shield, I'll shoot it to knock down that shield. And yeah, of course, that with Moji is a completely wrong thing to do, because that shield just completely negates all damage. So like when you play with them, you figure out the fact that like, oh yeah, once the shield goes away, you've got nothing to mind yourself. And if people don't shoot that shield and just ignore it, you'll get ripped to pieces because you've got no spite on them. And yeah, like it is just a case of like, oh, this champion isn't just invincible. It's a case of I was shooting at it wrong. So yeah, I would advise like play around with the different champions, especially if you find one that like you go, oh, that thing's overpowered. Yeah, pick it. You'll probably find that it isn't. Now, what I said I'd do is actually show what the game is like in play. And yeah, I'll give a blast of this with, say, I'll record 3 different videos of a damage dealer, a tank, and a healer. And I'll put those together in here of all doing a siege game, just so you can kind of see the way that the game is slightly different and how I play 3 of the... I'll play for a basic damage, a basic healer, and a basic tank. But yeah, you can get an idea then as to like the game itself and kind of what it looks like, how my gameplay goes. And yeah, I'll just chuck myself in the queue for this. See the way I've selected Can here, and I've just put the cursor over him because it's a suggestion that I would pick Can. But a game usually needs a healer at least, and somebody else there has locked in a tank also, and the rest of the people have now locked in flank, a flank, and a flank. So not ideal, but realistically this game is going to be, yeah, a healer game for me. So I'll showcase Ceres instead, because otherwise, like, I could pick the tank anyway, but it wouldn't really make much of a difference. Like, there wouldn't be much of a point in doing it, because a tank without a healer on the team is kind of very weak. You've got a large health pool and you don't really have any way of getting it to fill back up. So yeah, while healers are fantastic, they kind of they're essential if you want to play a tank. The other team doesn't actually have any tank, but it does have, yeah, you've got your DPS and they have 2 healers. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, because obviously, like, the ROM is going to take a whole lot more of a beating than most of their team, but they've got a lot more healing, so their idea will be to try and keep the team alive by like an overwhelming amount of healing power rather than by, yeah, that sheer amount of health that their tank would have. Now, with a healer though, you get these sets of cards, and I will go through specific characters in actual videos and explain the kind of usage that they have. They're all free. You don't have to pay any money in this game outside of yeah, just the cosmetic skins and stuff like that, which, yeah, because of the fact that these stuff is all free, that's why I have loads of skins and loads of really pimpy mounts in this game, because I really enjoy that type of a game mode where it's just a case of you don't have to buy these. So it's just like, I'll throw it some money in that case, because I have no issue ever with paying for stuff in games. I just don't like certain game mechanics where it's like, oh, you have to pay or you just can't be competitive. Now, get flanked here from the left hand side, but yeah, with Ceres you've got a huge heal on her L2 where she channels it to the entire team if they're kind of in close proximity. As a healer as well, you can see the health bars on your allies around the map, and Ceres has a really long range on that heal. So all I need to do is like just put the cursor near the tank and I can duck in out of danger as long as the heal has actually started with this character. Some characters can heal through walls, other characters are way more yeah, like inflexible when it comes to how they heal. Now that Sky at the back is causing a bit of bother, but yeah. That's the thing, is like they don't have a tank, so they're going to be a fairly fragile but really high damage output team. But yeah, this is the way a siege game works. You fight over the middle area at the start, and it's the first team to take that, then they'll get an opportunity to bring it through and get 2 points. You'll get 1 point immediately if they manage to actually take... Whoa! Was saying to contest the objective, which means come to the middle, but people also need to group up in games with certain healers and stuff as well. So like Ceres in particular, she heals in an area, so if my allies would group together, it would make my game a whole lot easier. It would also make the game a whole lot better if they even captured the objective. So these 2 guys decided to kill the enemy team, but then they just ran off and did not capture this. It does happen in these kind of games where, like, yeah, like if I flick through to the other people on my team, like they are just not near the objective. They're going and killing stuff, which is great, but That's more of a thing that you do in team deathmatch. Realistically, it would be so much better if they would just, you know, contest the objective and mind our ROM. Just trying to see if I can get some healing onto him, because like with the talents and spec that I have for her, she can heal from miles away. There's that Genos ult. Incredibly dangerous. But yeah, with your healer, you're not really getting in there and shooting up the place like a regular first-person shooter. Ooh. It is just... Again, there's the objective. There's where the team are. Oh, it's so frustrating. Like, tank. Objective. And he dies. Great. Oh, the Sky is saying to contest the objective. I mean, she's nowhere near there, but still, at least she's saying it. But yeah, that is the thing. If you're playing with randoms, you can expect to have sometimes a little bit of irritation. There's only so much you can really do when it's 5v5. If your team decides to not do their roles in a game, it can be really painful. Like, the thing is, you can see from my range, I can heal them as long as they're in line of sight of me, for a great distance in front. So I can really stay out of danger and just channel this with Ceres. But what I cannot do is get hit. If you get hit at all as the healer, you're in grave danger. So I'll see if I can save that person, and I can assist this fight a small bit. Oh, I misjudged which side that person was actually at. Ceres' ult is fairly cool. It doesn't actually heal, but what it does is just, oh no. Ceres' ult generates a black hole in an area, which will pull all of the enemy team together inside there. That makes them, like, stunned for just a few seconds, as well as... Whoa. It stuns them for a couple of seconds, but also while they're inside there, it groups them all together, so your team have a good chance of shooting them up. Oh, successful. Dance time. If you have a certain amount of time to push that thing forward. If you run out of time and no one's on it, it's a fail. But there is a ring that's around the objective area, and if there is some of your team inside that ring, they will keep the game going. I'm going to take Nimble so I can be a little bit on the faster side, and Haven, which gives me a small bit more defense. Like I said, I'll do specific builds and character videos separately to this one. If you notice there as well, Ceres has a school move where she just fades into nothing. You can still perfectly see everything. You're completely, like, you can't be shot, but certain talents can make you visible to the enemy team. But it's one of her main defenses is just to disappear for a couple of seconds and hope that the enemy team kind of forgets chasing you down. Because you can see that she is very good at healing from range, but really just has very little health. I really rely on my team to be around here somewhere. But they're just going over that direction. That's fun. You can see I'm pulling up a wheel there on the left hand side of this as well. Now, that's the main way of, like, quickly chatting to your team. So it is just a case of one tap right on the D-pad will pull up a wheel, and different directions than on the D-pad or pressing buttons will bring you to a certain command. So you can say to come together and group up and such. She can actually fire as well. I just tend to really stay out of the way. But her ult there, pulling that person onto the objective, and then just firing things through her. What you can do oh no. What you can do with Ceres as well is just be firing her regular shot in between the casting of the heals. But whilst that does do effectively free damage, Ceres' shots are really large and they're slow moving. And if you're firing them, people will definitely see exactly where you are. Hi, enemy team, sir. I take it they're currently raging at their team. So, but yeah, they're just standing AFK. That's a free kill. But yeah, like I generally tend to, if I'm just doing the job of healing, it can be quite easier sometimes to just stay back and only heal. That way, like if you go in and you start actually fighting with players as well, they'll start to fight back. And while I can get in some damage as the healer, realistically, if they decide to start 1v1ing me, I am absolutely toast with her. Whereas I can do a whole lot more to just stay back here and try and keep that noise that you hear of give them hell there. If that's going through properly, yeah, that noise is ultimate. Quite a lot of the champions have ultimate abilities which give really, really obvious sound cues. So if you play the game a few times, when you hear a scream of like barrage incoming, for example, you're going to know that, like, yeah, there's a whole lot of damage going to come to your team. Like there, and the shouts of the ultimates as well are all slightly different depending on if it's a ult coming from your team or the enemy team. They're quite similar. Overwatch has a similar system where I think in Overwatch even it's you hear it in a different language, but this one seems to be planted victory because it's just to get to 4 points. So yeah. Winning the point 1 gives you 1, and then escorting the point to the end of the game gives you that second point. And like one of the cool things with Paladins that I love over, especially the likes of Overwatch. In Overwatch, you have a thing which will tell you like who has the most kills on the team, or one or two other stats. But at the end of an actual game of this, you get a massive amount of information about how the game went and exactly kind of like who done what. So you can see there my damage with Ceres 3000, really, really low, but at the same time my healing 93,000 of channeled health. If you keep in mind the fact that like a damage dealer in this game has around 2000 HP, that means, yeah, I'm stopping a damage dealer from dying 45 times over. So whilst I don't do damage while playing as her, I will make sure that, yeah, like I'm completely negating the enemy teams doing damage for the most part. Anyway, like obviously the Vora on the other team, the THK killer person, thank you, and I will leave my suggestion marker over Can and see the fact that the rest of the team that goes in. So like again, it really does depend. If the 3 other people who are in the group don't select a healer and some of them do select a tank as well, then it's a pretty dangerous game to be playing. Yep, Pip is a healer, the flank, and then 2 DPS. So that's effectively, it could be a good team. You also have these extra items that you pick up through gameplay. This one is like just for extra team boost for a battle pass system. Realistically, that is very end game quite stuff. Don't worry too much about those. It's just some extra bits and pieces so you get more out of the games in terms of experience wise. That low res model that you see sometimes on the menu and on the character selection screen as well. Like, that is because the game runs on, I'm pretty sure it's an Unreal Engine variant, and yeah, it works really well on the Switch. I mean, the game is mostly, almost perfectly, in fact, locked to 60 FPS. It does some trickery to get it to that level, and like a lot of the time you'll see like game model reduction in detail. There is some bugs and glitches, like the character selection screen here. If that doesn't have portraits on it, that's pretty normal. This map was actually changed recently to really hamper performance in a way. It's gone a bit too shiny, but let's see. With Can here, your shield regenerates 100% while it's raised, and I've got a spec for him, vigorous defense here. I'll go through a character specific video with a bunch of different champions. Ooh, that has auto purchased 2 things which I would not go for. I will cover auto purchasing in a chapter called Paladins has issues, because it does. There is a few flaws with this game, certainly the switchboard, but yeah, this stage did not have this city and stuff on it before, which, I mean, the city and things look cool over it, but it does definitely give the game one kind of a little bit of shudder sometimes when you come out here for the first time. Saying that, coming from playing things like Asphalt, the shuddering in this is absolutely minimal. Oh, great. Our Sky and Flank just immediately decide to get themselves killed. I don't see where the Pip is at all. Yay! Oh, there he is. Pip can be a fantastic healer, but he can also be a very good DPS. And sometimes he can be a very annoying, I want to be a DPS type champion. So yeah, it's not always great. I'm just gonna say as long as I can just stay there. Whoa, no, I can't even stay there for a few seconds. But as long as I can just put my foot on the objective, it stops it from, yeah, giving points to the enemy team for it. As long as any one of us is on there. You'll notice in the center screen, by the way, there's like a bunch of different red icons that's telling me where certain items and stuff are. You really need to play killed, but capture the objective, because yeah, I was standing on the point and he was shooting me off the point. It's just kind of like, we're both not going to kill each other too quickly, but I'm doing the objective. But yeah, those icons that you see around the center of the reticle, like, they are ones that you need to just pretty much practice and see kind of... oh, no shield for you. No team for me, though. Where are my boys? I'd really like a heal. Help. See? This Pip could heal, but he really doesn't seem to be. And Pip is one of those characters that you can expect to not do any healing. That's just... you would have to just not press the button. Right and Y says it says a help with your character. When you're on like critical health, the help transforms to say need healing instead. I'm gonna take rejuvenate, which rejuvenate's a good talent if you've got a decent healer. It gives you an extra percentage of health that comes in from any friendly players. It doesn't buff any of your self-healing mechanics. I'm actually a really bad spot. But yeah, it's definitely... it's one of the talents that's good if you have a healer minding you. But that Pip seems to be playing... I have no idea. But yeah, you can see what'll happen like in a game where you effectively don't have... like, on the score sheet at the end, you will likely see that Pip has actually done an amount of DPS. And sure, like, DPS from a healer is cool-ish if you have a team that needs that, or that like wouldn't benefit greatly from if he would just heal a small amount. Oi, come here. Hand's ult is pretty weird. You get to hold a person completely prone in his hand, so you can grab a hold of like their tank, and yeah, he's not able to use any of his defensive abilities. But while you're doing it, you also can't put up your own shield, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword in that way. Because yeah, you do, like I said, you can hold somebody completely prone, but for all intents and purposes, you are also completely just, yeah, you can't do anything other than hold a person. You can throw them, and you can throw them quite a distance, but yeah, it's not exactly always ideal to try and look for somewhere to chuck somebody off. This is a weird one though. See, I'm trying to think. If I take more rejuvenate, but that Pip isn't healing at all, then that's not going to exactly give me any more healing, because he's just, it increases the healing that you receive only from friendly allies. So good luck Have fun. Help. But yeah, it's a weird one though, because the more you spec into that, like obviously if your healer's not healing, yeah, that's not good. There is one champion to watch out for beginner games especially, is the pink avatared character on the right hand team. It's a champ called Willow, and it has a pretty devastating move called Dead Zone. Now, Dead Zone is a particle effect that appears on the ground. No. Dang it. Yeah, it was actually on me there, but you'll see it as two health looking icons on the right and left of the screen with arrows pointing down. That's a thing from her called Dead Zone. When she puts it in an area, no healing can take place in the circle that is taken. And also the spores from that tend to stay on you for a couple of seconds as you step out of Dead Zone. So yeah, it does mean that you have to be aware of where she's chucking that though. Here again though, no one's actually on the objective bar myself, so I can get hit a small bit here, but I'll just stand on this. I'll even turn my back a small bit to that damage, because I will explain why I do that in the can specific video. But yeah, sometimes it can be good to actually turn cans back. Which sounds very counterproductive, I realize. Whoa. What the heck? Yeah, again here the enemy team is deciding to shoot at me but not come onto the point, so the objective just gets captured. Now, like, this team that I'm with isn't exactly particularly great, so I can say, like, contest the objective and group up. But if they're just playing their own games and having some fun, then that can be hard to try to get them to actually come together. Just see, and too much danger from the enemy team's ultimates. Cyrus's ult is dangerous enough to group up with, because it does pull people right together and stun anyone that's in a little range around it. But I don't think that Cyrus on the enemy team is particularly looking at doing damage. She seems to just be minding her team. In a dead zone there. So, like, if I had used my shout to actually heal in that instance, I would have done the shout, become immune for a second or so, but you wouldn't receive any actual healing from doing it, even on myself. So it is definitely one that, like, yeah, I have to be kind of aware of. Pip is nearby. Help me, Pip. Pip. Thank you. It sucks so much when you know. Whoa. When you know, especially what, like, kind of a healer can do. And there he's like, you can see on the kill feed, he's got a kill on Lex, and like, that's great. He's got a kill on Lex. What would have been better is if he kept the Sky alive. She's devastating, like, in terms of how much more effective a damage dealer she is. He returned the favor of grabbing hold of me using his ultimate. I was kind of thinking, would he throw me off that mashing was me mashing my ultimate? Because I'm looking directly at him. If I start to go back and I'm mashing my ultimate, I'll actually grab him into my arm as I fly back. So yeah, he would come with for that. Although probably that would be more just a sheer anger ult, because yeah, there's 7 seconds left in this round and we're not capping it, but it'd be better off to just yeah, hold up. I'm actually falling back, and it's one of those things where a lot of the time in a game like this, people are like, well, you may as well just go forward and die. Any hits that the enemy team get on our team gives them ultimate charge as well. So, like, while my ult is completely filled up, me going forward at the end for a completely pointless push, all I'm doing is I'll get killed and they'll get some ultimate ability from it. So the start of this next round will become more difficult. That's why I did just back away at the end there. Even though the round was dead, yeah, it's sometimes tactically a better idea just to move back away. On my pimp fire horse, my pimp fire costume. I've spent a fair amount in this game. Actually, probably, do you know what? Over the playtime, I probably spend more actually on microtransactions of this game, and they are 100%, like I said, just cosmetic things. They absolutely, like, in no way give you any advantage on the field. Come here, sirs. Ah, no, I missed her. But yeah, I'm all for supporting games, as I said. It's just a case of I much rather when that support isn't forced on the player. I find it far better as a voluntary idea. I'll criticize my team until the end of this game, but the fact that the enemy team have not gone towards this objective at all is kind of sad in a way to me. Like, oh, this one is here. No, 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 don't kill me. No, 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 it's fine. You can just go off and do your own thing. Dang it, 99%. Oh, no, 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 no. Ah! Oh, that's the most annoying thing in the world. There we go. Ah. But yeah, like the a game kind of devolving a small bit into team deathmatch kind of play. Oh, sweet! I have a quest to kill her 5 times. Right? Nope. Can't throw me off. I'm standing on this objective, and I'm getting killed for this. But yeah, that's okay. Ah. Objective captured again. It's gonna take ages because they're gonna all run off and not stay on the point. Storm is pessimistic about this. No, Storm is realistic about this. I've played like this game quite a bit, and yeah, it's cool. But like if you were the type of person who would get really, really annoyed, at a team kind of just going and playing a game for themselves, especially in the casual, although no, it happens in ranked too. No, like playing Paladins then could maybe not be for you because there is times where it is quite just a bit on the confusing side, because like this game will go all the way to the very final 2 points. So regardless of pretty much anything played throughout the entire game, it's going to end up as being 3-3, and then the final like capture of the objective or failure to capture the objective is what's going to decide the game. Whoa, 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 whoa. I know a dead zone when I see it. Please no. The enemy team have also started taking. There's a talent called I think it's Wrecker, but yeah, there's a talent which breaks shields, and they're after specking into it now quite a lot. So I'm gonna be getting quite a lot less use out of that shield that Can has. It's a very good talent to take, and like the percentage that it actually reduces the healing or the shield's ability by is very, very good. So like it's one that's always worth picking up if your enemy team has got a fairly decent-ish, or really any Can at all, because Can is torturous with his shield. But there's a bunch of different kind of things that you can buy depending on the enemy's setup. So like obviously a tank, like there are some tanks who build items, and there is certain specific things which like work against that. The shield destroying one, for example. Oh, that was nice of the Cirrus to actually catch hold of me there. The Can picked me up, but Cirrus through her ultimate would also grab somebody into place. So it's it's just an unfortunate team combo that they did. But yeah, the win, lose or draw, this is effectively the way your tanking game is going to go. You'll spend most of your game hoping that you get a heal at times, trying to mind your players as much as possible, but yeah, relying on them to fight near the objective. Again, that's always a king in Paladins. And yeah, like to actually be better than obviously the enemy team. But you'll see again on the scorecard kind of thing the way stuff works out. Like, it may well be possible that the Pip is healing people, but just not me towards the objective. He might be healing the DPS while they're off doing their thing. He's communicating a small bit through like the in-game chat system, so he's saying like his ultimate is ready. And Pip's ultimate's pretty cool. He throws on a volatile concoction on the ground, which he throws on a concoction on the ground which transforms everybody into a chicken who have a set amount of health. Even tanks that he catches with that are completely limited in the health that they have while it's active. Come here, Can. Oh, please, please, please shoot this. Shoot, 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 shoot. Just kind of relying on my teammate to hit that, because Can's ult on its own doesn't really do a whole pile just of damage. It does a small amount, and if you can target... Whoa! Cool. I'm gonna have to try and see if I can grab back out of this. Oh! Or he holds me long enough for his willow to come out. That ult is really, really good if you can catch people with it. It requires very precision aiming, but yeah, like it can pull the entire way across the stage if you can actually lock onto exactly where a person's standing. What? Me not on the objective. But yeah, that's your tank game. Like I said, you're not going to be doing much damage, just being annoying. Like you can see there in the middle of team fights and stuff, just putting the shield in front of their enemy team's damage. Whenever the enemy are trying to damage people, that shouting that you see Can doing quite a bit. Like when he does it, he heals the entire team around him for about 1,000 or so health. But when he's also doing it, he's completely immune to any sort of damage on his target. So like wherever there's like a huge area of effect explosion going to happen, if you know the countdown timer for it, if you do the shout exactly as the explosion would go off, yeah, it just completely immunes it. It just doesn't hit him at all. It's really good. That's from the event pass leveling up. That's one tier of it, and 50,000 gold coins. 50,000 gold coins is enough to unlock nearly any of the champions in the game in a single go. Some of the champs are 15,000, some are 30, and some are 60k. So you could unlock 3 different of the like base level champions, like Grok, Rover, those. There's quite a few that are 15k, so that could get your collection like 3 different champs at the start, just completely with an event pass level up. Those event passes can be gotten with crystals. I'll focus more on one of those in a different video if people enjoy this one. So yeah, looking at the stats here at the end of this one, and like yeah, that Pip did 90k healing, which isn't bad, but at the same time the Cirrus on the other team out healed him by 40k. And the thing is, like, the Pip doing that, he's also done 70,000 damage, which isn't a bad amount of damage at all, really. But like, if you think about it, we had 2 damage dealers on our team who were doing over 100,000, like 103,000 and 104k from the sky. Admittedly, there was a soldier who wasn't doing a whole pile. Weirdly enough, he never died once in the entire game. But yeah, like, it would maybe have been better in this game, or just an easier and smoother game, had the Pip focused more on healing and left the damage to the damage. But it does always depend on the makeup of the team. Like, you'd always see it with me. If I'm playing in a role, like I was shielding. So yeah, doing my tanking things. What am I doing? I'm standing on the objective 355 seconds out of the game. It's probably more time spent standing on that point than everyone else in the game combined, nearly. And shielding, yeah, I shielded for like 4 times more than my counterpart Can on the other thing. Now, he done more damage than me. Sure, he did, yeah, by 20k. But again, I was trying to do my role as best as possible, so tons of shielding more than him. And yeah, whenever I seen like my teammates in danger, I'd done slightly more healing than him. It's like 4k. To be fair, that 4k is 2 characters full health, so you know, it could have prevented a death or 2 slightly more. And he probably has more kills. Yeah, he got 5 kills in that game. I got 2. But, you know, I wasn't there to do kills. I was there to do that. And I think that's very important to do in these team-based games. Now, and let's go for our DPS game. So, something a little bit on the weirder side. Say, yeah, that's pretty cool. Somebody's locked in on Grover, which is the healer, Rom, which is a tank, and it'll give me a chance to lock in Leanne here. And she is a strange one. Leanne's damage is very low res character model, but yeah, Leanne's way she works is pretty strange. She cycles between 3 moves, all of which kind of reset the cooldown of the other ones as long as they hit and do damage, or at least that's a spec that I've built for her. Now obviously, like, people can play different characters in different ways, and like I will go into it because like you can really change around the way characters work, in terms of you can make them be a bit tougher where they have more defensive options, or you can make it where they become crazy kind of like at one specific thing. Like the way my Khan is set up, he is set up as the ultimate in tank, very tough to kill, but he's missing a lot of things to give him damage. The way my Cerus is the exact same. She's got crazy amounts of healing, but she has very little protection ability at all. And the same goes with Leanne. Like, there are ways that you can make it so that she gets healed quite a bit more by her own moves. That's not what I go for with her. So yeah, the left talent here, reduce cooldown of Grace by 1 second. Grace hits all enemies instead of 1, and then Inheritance, which is all of your kind of cooldowns cross over onto each other. Now, like I said, I will definitely make a video based on these, but she is one character that at the start of the game, she is really not strong, because with this spec at least anyway, she really relies on having a certain couple of things. So Chronos, for example, reduces the time that your cooldowns take to get ready. Life Rip gives you some health when you do certain abilities, and there is one of Deft Hands which helps you daggered. Deft Hands helps you reload your gun faster. Now the thing is, with our tank just ran out of the map. But yeah, with the spec, the way I have that with my version of Leanne is to use lots of cooldowns. And now the thing is, you kind of need them to help each other cool down a small bit. And by that I mean that Haggard again. Maeve is a fantastic flank character. She really, like, herself and Sky are just devastatingly good. Definitely would be some of my go-to, but really not representing my Leanne abilities too much here. But she is a strange one. Like, she becomes better in slightly late game, and these siege games go on usually for about kind of 5 to 10 minutes kind of. So whoa, Koga. So yeah, I'm sort of expecting it that at the start of this game I'm really gonna kind of not be fantastic, but I will build up to trying to be slightly better in, like I said, that late game, hopefully anyway. She has one of her moves it's a bit of a weird one, especially on certain maps. One of her moves makes her dash forward in a way that she deals quite a lot of damage, but she also hits everyone in a spray of bullets. The only thing about it is there's certain go away. There's certain maps where, yeah, she can just send herself flying off the stage, which it's fun. It happens sometimes, and yeah, you can obviously you obviously just have to mind yourself a small bit, but yeah, it is just a case of you can control the direction that she does the initial dash in, but she is yeah, she does definitely, she has to move when she does it. And like, yeah, it's odd to see, I know, but like the way that she moves is a case of there's 3 different things I'm doing, which is that a blast from her gun, which sends out an AoE pulse in front of her, the slide, which does a targeted hit, but yeah, again, it's just on the one enemy. And yeah, the other one that I have, which is the burst, which is just a scattering of bullets. And the thing is, like, the reason I'm using all 3 of those is, like I said, they start to cool each other down as long as they actually hit enemies. So I have 2 steps into Chronos now. That means their cooldowns are working 20% faster. And you see, the thing is with this build, they will get to a point where the cooldowns will reset so soon that when you have the cards, which yeah, when you have her own abilities, which are also helping them to cool down, they kind of double up into a way that yeah, she can pretty much fire out her special moves pretty much on a non-stop rotation. And yeah, that is obviously quite dangerous if you have that sort of thing going on. But again, she's just going to be mildly, like, I mean, at the same time, I say weak. She's still very, very good at the start. You just have to be aware of the fact that, ooh, she does have less kind of killing power until you get the full amount of Chronos, and quite a bit of deft hands as well is needed. Morale boost is another one that you're kind of looking for with her, which increases your ultimate gain. Her ult is quite good. She stops on the spot and puts out the gun. It does a major blast in front of her. If you're ever in game and you want to take a look at it, you can just press down on the D-pad as well, just to get an idea over what she's got. So Heirloom Rifle is the automatic rifle, does 400 damage. Valor, fire a charged weapon shot to hit all enemies inside of your rifle. Presence, charge your rifle to fire long range piercing shot, 800 damage to enemies hit. And then Grace, which is quickly dodge and fire off a deadly shot with your weapon that deals 400 damage. And yeah, like, again, it's a weird one, because this isn't a character where you zoom in and shoot some one thing in the head for 1000 damage, but you'll see on the yeah, the loadout at the end exactly how much annoying damage that Leanne puts out. And again, with the teams, you have your characters who, whoa, there's her ult. And like, admittedly, that hits for 1000. But yeah, with Leanne, you kind of really benefit if you've got a good flanker, so that can go around the place and pick guys off that you leave on low-ish health, who are kind of more percentage based. But she herself just does devastating damage to the team as a whole. Like, even from this distance, you can see like sprays of numbers coming up from people there. Like, that Dragos is getting hit in the air for 750. So it's going to come through here, and they're going to have all of my cooldowns ready if they step through. Oh, they didn't. Mean! You still get a kill. Ah, Maeve again! No. Did I mention Maeve is really cool? I really do love her. That thing that you see with Maeve where she just dives forward, that's, I mentioned it in the characters portion of this video, but that's the thing that she has, that if you're below 35% health, that's just that. It's no longer a number that it causes, it's it's that. So, like, really dangerous if you're not near your healer, kind of. Oh, that's some bad shooting, Storm. You see, somebody's trying to pick me off with some daggers, but none of the enemy team are on the objective. So, I mean, we're not taking it exactly either, but at the same time, we're kind of slightly more cohesive unit. That big explosion thing of yeah, Kraken energy you could see there on the objective, that's Dredges. The Ancient Sea Pirate, his ultimate is pretty cool. It like summons out a sphere of death effectively, where Kraken just appears for a very brief second, but when it happens it does 4000 damage, I think it is, to everyone that's inside there. So it's death to nearly anything that's not a healer, if you don't if you don't react to it. He does shout "Unleash the Kraken" though if he's on the enemy team when you hear that thing coming off. And 960. I still don't have enough for my last thing in this, but I'm gonna go for morale boost and see if I can just finish rather than going for the highest portion of my cooldowns. This will be either a case of like, yeah, we win it now, or else we'll take it in the next round anyway. But oh no. Team, help. Damn it. Really have to be aware of not going in on your own. Just group up. Yeah. Grover, by the way, the healer that's on this team, he is like a fantastic mix of healer and DPS together. He pretty much exudes heals all the time around his body. He cannot not be healing. Hello, cat. But yeah, he can't not heal the group that are around him. But at the same time, yeah, he can constantly throw off axes, which only just increase the actual abilities that he has. So and he has two different main types, one of which cuts sideways and is like a really annoying kind of slowing move, which can even with a certain talent stick people onto the ground when he throws it. But he is a really fun healer to learn to first for starting players. I would strongly advise trying out Grover if you want to go down the healing route, because his heals are not targeted at all. He constantly puts out a heal from his own body. Whoa. And he has a move then which increases the rate that heal goes off. A rampant bloom, it's called. Definitely though a solid choice for very. Ooh. Nope. The yeah, her ultimate there is that thing where it goes back into third person for a second, but it does blast everyone that's in front. Dragos going into the air in front of you is just a free ticket to hit them in the air, because yeah, there's nowhere they can really hide while they're in the sky. Ooh. Push successful. Yay. And back up to 80% overall. She also has one of the best emotes in the entire game, in my opinion, which is, yeah, she can summon out a chair and have a sit. So, if you're ever with a team that are not playing ball and you want to kind of troll them a bit as well, I've definitely never used that emote to do that. But yeah, you can even, on the objective, when it's being pushed through the enemy team, if your team are really good, you can just get up on that carriage thing and pop out the chair and just be, yeah, carried along on your little chair. I think that was from one of the previous battle passes that came in this, and it's, like I say, really just pure annoying troll emote to whip out. I'm just watching, because that enemy team are really good at flanking around. Go away. Maybe if you've got me too many times. Dragos, shoot. I'm just kind of waiting on it as well. I think that the Dredge will have his Kraken ult ready to go, but I just don't want to get caught up by that. Not at this stage in the game. Oh, well, we're capping. Bing. Chair. Oh. I should probably not be on that while getting hit. It's a good way to taunt at every team if you want them to hit you, I guess. But yeah, for now, I'll try focusing on still keeping up the shooting while also capping the base. And ult. Now I can share. Bing. Yeah, that's how you do a DPS game. That's great to chairs even there on the victory screen. Yeah, like, again, in that game, I'm well aware of the fact that, like, it might be difficult to see numbers that are coming out because of the way that she works. And she is a very different type of champion to say something like Victor, who uses a machine gun and grenades because of the way she slides about. But once her cooldown stuff all starts to get rolling, like, she can do some pretty devastating amounts of damage to the enemy team in just constantly annoying sprays. But yeah, that's like a relatively short game, but breaking out 50k with her, that's not exactly amazing at the same time. But you know, that's kind of all you can do to a team that actually, it didn't even spot it. The enemy team didn't even have an actual tank. They were just like, yeah, flank, DPS, and flank. So like, annoying for getting caught up at the start, especially that Maeve with her 19 kills to 11 deaths, really annoying. But you know, they can barely stand on the objective because they don't have a tank, so they can't like hold their own, and they don't have a healer, so once they start to get like hurt, they're finished. I mean, if you even see it, the Dredge and the Maeve on the enemy team have 90,000 and 93,000 damage each. Like, those two alone are as much damage as the first 4 players. Like, everyone with the exception of our healers are out damaged by those players, you just combined, I mean. But at the same time, wrong team setup, yeah, it's just not going anywhere. You can't, you know, you could be the best Maeve in the world, but if your team is being formed like that, it would have been so much better off for those 2 players to decide to, instead of just going like, oh, I'm gonna lock in Maeve because I'm good with her, just go like, no, maybe our team could use a heal or a tank, possibly. But then again, even at the end of the day, had one of the 2 of them made that choice and gone for a healer, the other one is still locked in. You know, it's a doomed team from having like 4 like that, so it would take the actions of 2 people to turn that one around. But there's like a fairly easy but yeah, brief enough look at a DPS type game. But I really wanted to make this video for quite a while, and I kind of been saying I would, and I really thought with the current state of Asphalt right now, there's no better time to be playing a different game. So yeah, if people are interested in this, if you've any questions at all about anything in this, like, this is the most second played game on my Switch after Asphalt 9 Legends, and honestly, if you were to take out the time farming events and like doing stuff which is generally no fun in Asphalt 9 Legends, I think I've actually played more in-game of Paladins, and honestly, in terms of a fun factor, it really is a toss-up of a coin, just like our Sati is doing here, between which one actually is the better game. Definitely in comparison to things like Overwatch, if you were ever considering getting Overwatch on the Switch, I can't stress enough the fact that that Switch version is absolutely terrible. Overwatch on the Switch runs at 30 FPS, which for a first-person shooter game, it is night and day difference between playing this and playing Overwatch. But yeah, guys, like I said, if you have any questions at all based on this, just shoot them down in the comments. I'd be absolutely delighted. If anyone watched this far into this video, I would be incredibly surprised and really grateful for any likes, subscribes. There is other videos from my channel here where I look at indie games, and over at this side where, yeah, it's gonna be something Asphalt related most likely. I'll see if I can warp that actually so that if I'm putting up champion videos or so, they'll appear over at this side. But yeah, guys, if you watched this, yeah, really grateful, and please do, like I said, can't stress it enough, if you like first person shooters, or even just if this looks in any way interesting to you at all, give a shout on our Discord server. The links to that's on the thing as well. If you want to play some games maybe sometime as well, might get a stream going of this, and yeah, group up with some people and maybe get some heals rolling out if people just mind me on the objective. But yeah, guys, as always, shoot safe. Good luck.